AITA for refusing to allow my stepdaughter to use one of my cars and telling her to get a job and buy one instead? My husband and I have a 5-year-old son together, and he has a 18F daughter Sally from his previous marriage. Sally is an entitled, manipulative young lady who has spent her entire life milking the child of divorce card in order to make her parents feel bad for her and give her everything she wanted. As a result, she is now a lazy adult, has poor grades in school, no perspective, no job, no desire to get a job or do something with her life. Although my husband and her bio mom are both responsible for how she turned out, instead of coming together and work towards helping her do something, they prefer to blame each other, and they do everything they can to undermine the other one. For example, if my husband punishes Sally by not giving her spending money, her mom will immediately throw money at her. If her mom takes her car away as a punishment, my husband will immediately give her his car to use to go places. It's a very strange dynamic they have, and very different of what he has with me. When I asked him why he is so different in terms of parenting my son with me versus Sally with her bio mom, he said I am his wife and I am a normal, sane woman who he can actually communicate with. Whatever, I feel like they are both wrong, but Sally is not my daughter and I am happy I don't have to spend too much time with her. Now that the summer break started, Sally has the most important problem in the world. Her car broke and she needs one to use this summer to go places, meet her friends, go to parties, etc. Her mom is not willing to give her car because she needs it to go to work. My husband needs his car to go to work and neither of them is willing to buy her a new one. So Sally the genius found the perfect solution and asked me to give her one of my cars. To be clear, I have 2 cars, a big SUV that was given to me by my employer and a smaller one that I use when I go into town because it's easier to park. I refused and I told her she can't use any of my car. She insisted and said I don't need 2 cars at the same time, but she needs one to get around. I told her she is free to use the public transportation or get a job and buy one herself. Now Sally is going around to my husband's relatives complaining that I am trying to exploit her and send her to work. I had a good laugh about this with my husband's sister, but my MIL claims I could have just refused instead of telling her to get a job. I am a little confused what it's so bad about telling an adult to get a job. It's not like I sent a 12-year-old to work for her food or anything. Edit. How did my stepdaughter's car break down? Her car was an older one and some parts broke. There is a way to fix it, like they can replace all the parts that are broken, but as far as I know it's not worth repairing because the costs will exceed the actual value of the car entirely. Edit 2. Is the stepdaughter in therapy to deal with her behaviors towards her parents and me? She refuses therapy and her mother exploded when it was mentioned in the past. For her and her mother, only insane people get therapy, so what can we do? We can't force her. Also, I understand what you are saying, but the truth is she is manipulative and cares for no one except of herself. She will come to our house and talk shit about her mother. Mom does this, mom does that, mom is like this. Why? To gain sympathy from my husband, to make him feel like he needs to compensate for what her horrible mother is putting her through. Then she will go to her mother's place and talk shit about us to fuel her mother's dislike for us and make her also feel guilty and compensate. I think over the years she managed to convince both her parents that the other one is crazy.
Relevant comment. Board 36090. I don't change my behavior to protect adults from themselves. Keys are on the table, my wallet is over there, beer in the fridge. However, choices have repercussions. You're right, unfortunately, there will be zero accountability for Sally. But that's something they can talk about when the cops show up. OP comes home, car is gone. I could wonder who stole it or just call the cops.
Update. Hello again. Thank you for all the feedback you provided to my previous post. I really appreciate you spent your time to give me some ideas. The majority of you advised me to hide my car's keys because Sally would most likely try to steal one of my cars when I am not home. You are not far from the truth because she oftentimes does this with her mother's car, meaning she will take the car when her mom is not home without asking her if she needs it later or ask for permission. So your advice makes a lot of sense. However, I refuse to do such thing in my own home. I believe if I end up in a position to have to hide my things in my own house, we'll have a bigger problem that needs to be solved. Also, where does this stop? Today I have to hide my car keys, later my money, later my purse? This is not the kind of life I want to have, and it never happened to me as a teenager/young adult. When I used to live with my parents, I knew where everything was, car keys, money, documents, jewelry, etc., and I have never taken anything without asking. So after reading the comments from our/board 36090, thank you by the way, I had a good laugh. I decided to follow their advice but in a less dramatic way. I sat my husband and his daughter down to have a chat. I made it clear in front of my husband that Sally insisted she uses one of my cars and I do not agree with it. Then I told Sally that I know she sometimes takes her mother's car without asking and warned her not to dare do something with my cars when I am not home because if she does, I will call the police and report the car stolen. She was shocked and asked me if I would stoop so low as to report her for stealing just for a car that I don't use or need anyways. I told her it's not me who would stoop so low, but her because taking something that does not belong to you, especially after being told no, it's the clear definition of stealing, so yes, I would report it. I think for the first time in her life she understood there will be consequences for her actions and she did not protest further. After this I asked her to clarify in front of my husband how is it that me suggesting she gets a job makes me a person who tries to exploit her, based on what she told my MIL and SIL. My husband had no idea about it and he just exploded. After hearing what happened he told her it's good that we hear what she talks behind our backs because he will give her even more reasons to complain. My husband told her she will not be seeing any money from him during this summer. Sally started crying and told him he can't do this, but husband told her he can and he will. His responsibility as her parent is to feed her, buy her clothes and help her pay for school items, but that's it. She is an adult and if she wants to party or see her friends she should start paying for it herself since she never appreciated anything she was given. Apparently this is the hill my husband he is willing to die on, and he even told his ex-wife about his plans, making it clear that if she wants to support Sally's activities this summer she will have to do it alone because he will not contribute for anything that's not a necessity. So yeah, this is where we are at now. Sally stormed out of our house and of course went to her grandmother to complain. But I am waiting. If MIL opens any discussions about it with me I will make it clear she is free to support Sally as much as she wants, we are not stopping her.
Relevant comment. Strong_obligation_37. Love it how you expect a child to grow up as a responsible adult with two shits for parents. Acting like it's her fault that she has bad grades, didn't learn responsibility etc. with parents that actually suck that hard at raising a child, gave her the bare minimum of support and used her primarily to fuck with each other. Now you act like it's all on her, what the actual fuck? She just turned 18 recently, ergo it's all on her now, right? It's not the kid's fault her parents raised her to be a piece of shit. Instead of stepping up and helping her get a job, have you looked at the job market for young adults recently? I guess not. Teaching her how to handle life etc. You made things even worse for her. By the way, the parent's responsibility goes far beyond helping her pay for school item. You are supposed to pay for it in full. She's a child your husband and his ex put into this world, not some runaway stray you decided to take in for a while, like holy fucking shit. It never happened to me as a teenager/young adult. When I used to live with my parents, I knew where everything was, car keys, money, documents, jewelry etc., and I have never taken anything without asking. Probably because they gave you the support you deserved as their child, emotionally and financially. Responsibility etc. is something that is taught, not something you just naturally develop the moment you turn 18. YTA, your husband is TA and his ex is also TA, you all failed to be a decent parent to this kid in a spectacular fashion and now you blame her for it. She will 100% go no contact in the future and all of you have no one but yourself to blame. But honestly it sounds like this is the desired outcome. Like not even an ounce of responsibility from parents and you, that's insane. Tell me who was responsible for raising this kid, herself? Reading this made me appreciate my own parents even more. Holy fucking shit, what a shit show.
OP. I just love how simple-minded you seem and how you look at things ignoring the nuances and the facts. Sure, you can blame everything on the parents but the reality is different. Yes, her parents did not get along and they made mistakes in raising her, but I would not go too far saying they sucked completely. Guess what? There are kids in this world who had true horrible parents, abusive ones, or had no parents at all. And they managed to become decent human beings. How could that happen? It must be magic, right? But hey, you can keep up with this trend in blaming everything on someone else. You and people like you will have a great time in life.
Strong_obligation_37. So she is just genetically fucked up and no matter what, would have never grown up to be a decent human being? Is that what you are trying to say? The way she can't handle responsibility, plays both sides etc. are things that have been taught to her by repeatedly reinforcing that such behavior leads to her desired outcome. Your husband and his ex did that, that's not on her, it's just bad parenting. Are there worse parents? Sure, 100%. But that's really not the point here. The fact that there are even worse parents doesn't magically make you better parents. That is actually a simple-minded thing to say. Your husband and his ex, as well as you, are putting all the responsibility on her. Instead of working through these issues that clearly you all created, you punish her for your bad parenting. You blame grandma for spoiling her. You offer no help and expect her to solve these issues on her own. I don't know what to say honestly, seems like the three of you also need to grow the fuck up. How should she learn what responsibility means, if clearly none of her parental figures have any?
OP. I am not going to bother since you seem to be the same level of entitlement as her. Keep up this mindset though, as I said, it will help you a lot in life. And when you turn out to be a failure, don't forget to blame others because based on your logic every basic, decent thing in this world needs to be taught. Screw common sense, screw respect, screw logic. If people don't spell things to you, then you have no responsibility for your actions. Just a funny thing to maybe reflect on. In his early years, I taught my son how to behave with pets by telling him that he needs to be mindful when playing with smaller beings because his force can hurt them by mistake. I have never spelled it out to my son not to hit babies. Guess what? He does not hit babies. Why? Because kids are not idiots and they have the capacity to think and make logical connections. If a child has the capacity to know not to hit babies because he can hurt them, an 18 years old has no excuse. Also FYI, I have told her countless of times it's not okay to act entitled. And she still does so. Spare me your nonsense.